how you all doing? Hope you're all keeping safe out there. Sorry if I sound a bit weird today. I am absolutely full of flu, but I couldn't put off reviewing this figure. It's fantastic. Today I'm reviewing the Marvel Legends Retro Fantastic Four Wave The Thing. This is a figure I've been waiting for. The second they announced it, I pre-ordered it. It has to be in my collection. And luckily, those fine folks, as always, over at Comics and Cocktails had him in. I pre-ordered the whole wave. They haven't all turned up yet, but that's another story. But yeah, as always, great store, great folks. Check them out. They're fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, this figure is amazing. It's just off the bat, it's probably a high contender for my figure of the year. It's as near perfect as a Marvel Legends figure you can get, in my opinion. So yeah, but you all of course know my spiel. A little bit of background. The Thing, Ben Grimm, first appeared in Fantastic Four issue number 1, and I'm pretty sure most people nowadays also know like the backstory of the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards talks his best friend Ben Grimm, the love of his life, Susan Storm, and her younger brother Johnny Storm, into going on an experimental space rocket. They fly into space, get bombarded with cosmic rays, crash down to Earth, and they all get superpowers. Reed Richards becomes basically a stretchy elastic man, Mr. Fantastic. Susan Storm gets the power to turn invisible and create force fields, the Invisible Woman. Or should I say the Invisible Girl, as she was to begin with. Johnny Storm gets the powers to basically turn himself into flame and fly, the Human Torch. And Ben Grimm becomes a giant, rocky, super strong, near indestructible hero called The Thing, that we all know and love today. Though actually, to be fair, when he first appeared as The Thing, he was very different. He was still orange and rocky, but he looked more like wet clay. Like he hadn't quite set right, or hadn't quite set yet. It was very strange, but it didn't take many issues for them to get down to that just iconic design that we have nowadays, and we still have nowadays, should I say, that we all love. And it was actually kind of cool, or maybe weird, depending on your point of view. Marvel quite likes to show just how much The Thing has changed. There's a couple of variant covers to comics which show like the actual anatomy and biology of The Thing, and just how much he has changed from being a basic human to the entity he is now. It's rather interesting and quite gross, to be honest. But yeah, after that, The Thing has had a series of his own. Most notably, after the Secret Wars, he got his own ongoing series, which is brilliant. I highly recommend tracking it down if you can. But more importantly, he was also the star of one of my favourite series of all time, Marvel 2-in-1. This was like a spotlight book produced by Marvel where every issue was The Thing teaming up with a different hero, and he teamed up with pretty much everyone in the Marvel universe. Obviously, the first one he ever teamed up was Man-Thing, so I had to love it. But no, he's teamed up with pretty much everyone on the books. And in fact, the very first comic I ever read was Marvel 2-in-1 issue 77. It's the first one I ever bought, the first one I ever read, and it was The Thing and the Man-Thing. And I still have the copy I owned as a 8 or 9-year-old child, and I bought the copies of it as well to look through, because my original one is falling apart, but still loved. It's a wonderful book. But yeah, so it's no wonder two of my favourite Marvel characters are definitely The Thing and the Man-Thing. Yeah, and obviously the Thing is pretty much a powerhouse of the Marvel Universe. He's near indestructible. His rocky skin just cannot be penetrated easily. Super strength, he's gone toe-to-toe with the likes of the Hulks. And of course, being a Fantastic Four member, he's beaten the crap out of Doctor Doom several times over the years. And one of the big things about The Thing is he's quite melancholy. Well, he's hit hard by changes in him physically, and it can get to him. It's understandable. He's the only one of the Fantastic Four who can't live a normal life. Though what I really love about him is he doesn't always let this get him down. In fact, he works his way through it and he gets his life together. He marries the love of his life, Alicia Masters, in like last year or two, I think. And not only that, but now coming out of the current Fantastic Four run, the two of them have adopted a pair of children, a Korean school child who they rescued from slavery, and they now live with them as their kids, and it's wonderful. So yeah, I really love The Thing. And obviously, being a Marvel property, he's had loads of different appearances in different forms of media. Probably my favourite is the Fantastic Four 90s cartoon. the second season more than the first, because like halfway through they go to a different production company, and it's a lot better. But I still really love it. It's probably one of the best Fantastic Four cartoons out there. Though saying that, if you can also find it, I think it's also on Disney Plus as well. Fantastic Four, the world's greatest heroes. That's also a really good. I'm going to say modern, but I think it's like 2012-ish or 2014-ish cartoon. That's really good. And obviously, like, the things had a couple of really bad movies. Like I don't mind, like the Michael Chiklis. Is it Michael Chiklis? The guy from the basically the ones with Jessica Alba in them. That's it. They were okay, but yeah. And then obviously we had Fant Four Stick, that god awful one. Yeah, that's bad. Actually, I'll tell you what though. What is cool? If you want to watch a good Fantastic Four movie, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie, which had like a budget of $1 million, that was it, and was never meant to be released. Probably the best Fantastic Four movie we've had to date. I mean, it's got like no money for effects, but it's still really good to watch. It's like on YouTube for free, because as I say, it was never actually meant to be released. It was only produced so that the company who owned the cinematic rights to the Fantastic Four at the time could hold on to them. Yeah. Anyway, the thing is, I had some of the Marvel Legends figures in the past. He was in the second wave of Marvel Legends, and I actually had this one. It was really good for the time, but obviously as years have passed, it's very dated, but I still have a soft spot in my heart for it. After that, we actually had a version of the thing in the Legendary Riders wave. This was based on his first appearance, so he's got that that different design to what we usually see, or what we're used to nowadays. But yeah, that was also quite good. And it went a long time without any really good ones. Like, there was some other ones in like Fantastic Four specific waves, but as far as Marvel Legends go, the next big one was the one released as a Walgreens exclusive. And I had this one, and it was really nice, but the head sculpt, I think, was based more on the Jessica Alba, like Michael Chiklis, that movie, those two, because the head just didn't quite seem comic book accurate. Luckily though, they did re-release the figure with a more comic book accurate head a few years later in the Super School Builder figure wave, and as you can see, the two look really good. The only problem I had was the oranges were different between the two, and the issue there was the Walgreens version had interchangeable hands, so you could have fists or open hands. The Super School one, which as well as being like a modern costume, it was rather easy to fix, and had a lovely paint scheme actually. It didn't have the wash of the Walgreens version, but the orange had highlights painted on, which looked really good, and the head sculpt was fantastic, but he only had fists. I know that's like a little quibble, but I think the open hands that this figure actually has are really expressive, and taking them away from it really hurt the figure. And luckily, I think someone at Hasbro realised that between those two figures they had something fantastic, and this is where this figure comes from. It's the best of both worlds. It's the paint and orange rocks of the Super School version with a comic book inspired head sculpt. Not quite the same head sculpt, maybe more of a modern comic book design, but still a very much comic book design thing head sculpt. With the classic costume, in this case, it's actually rather than the blue shorts, it's actually the dark blue pants. So they've had to resculpt the thighs, but it looks really good. And it comes with both the fists and the open hands. As you can see, these open hands are really nice and expressive, and even better is this figure also comes with two different head sculpts. One with the mouth open, which I think, like back in the day, should have a cigar to go in his mouth, because the classic thing smokes cigars, but it's an okay version. It's a nice expressive face, but he also comes with a angry, snarled, well, not snarled, determined like a determined face, showing and baring his teeth. And they both look really good. As I say, you get the fists as well as the open hands, and they look really great, the figure. And the figure's got really nice articulation, because the thing isn't like an acrobat. He's a bruiser at the end of the day, but he's got nice, thick, well-articulated legs, big feet, ankle joints and double jointed knees, and the hip rotation and the universal joints there help you get him in some really nice stands. And from the waist up, he's a diaphragm joint and a waist swivel. They work really well together. Universal shoulders. He doesn't have like a proper bicep swivel as such. Not bicep swivel. He has single joint elbows, the same way most Marvel Legends female figures have. So they afford him rotation at the elbow as well as bending there. So he can get all the the joints, all the poses in, but maybe not quite as deep a bend as if it were a double joint. But it still looks really good, and I have no real complaints. I've not had to try and get into a pose he couldn't get into. It's fantastic. It amazes me that this figure is £21 for the sheer weight of plastic. That's a bargain. Someone who's had to pay a couple of £100 to get a gearbox fixed, and didn't feel half as heavy as this guy. I think we're really getting our money's worth here. And actually, speaking of money's worth, I've got to mention this. The packaging this figure comes in is amazing. It's a modern recreation of the classic Toy Biz Fantastic Four packaging, and just looking at here's a photo now of the two of them. It's really great, and it's like proper great nostalgia, but this packaging is also huge. I'd say overall it's about twice the size of like the Spider-Man vintage or Fantastic Four X-Men, the Avengers or X-Men vintage card backs. It's also just beautiful as well. I'm keeping these to keep as a collection because they just look so good. And yeah, so as I've said, I love this figure. Now let me compare him to some of the figures in my collection that you might also pair him up with on yours. Up first, it's got to be the Hulk. And as you can see, the Thing is a big figure, but he's still dwarfed by the Hulk, which is comic book accurate. The Thing isn't massively tall in the comic books. He's probably, I think, I don't even think he's 7 foot. I think he's like the 6.5, almost 7 foot range. But he's just stocky and heavy, being predominantly made of stone. But next to the Hulk, they look great together. Here he is next to the Man-Thing. Yeah, the two of my favourite Marvel characters have two of my favourite Marvel Legends figures now, and just looking at the two of them together, it's amazing. I love seeing the two of them together. This is fantastic for me. Here he is next to the Joe Fixit Builder figure. Another not massively sized compared to the 80th anniversary Hulk, but powerfully built figure. The two look great together. Here he is next to the recently released She-Hulk. They look good. They're about the same height, which is nice. I really wish, if we get another wave of these Fantastic Four retro figures, if we can get She-Hulk in her Fantastic Four costume, because she took the Thing's place for a while on the Fantastic Four after the original Secret Wars. I think getting her in a Fantastic Four costume look marvellous. I think they both look really good together. Here he's next to a more average Marvel Legends figure, the Retro Wave Spider-Man. As I said, this Thing figure is a big figure. Don't feel you're getting, a small figure. He's still a large guy. Here he is next to, the big bad Fantastic Four villain Doctor Doom. The two look great together. The colours contrast each other brilliantly. Here he's next to another Fantastic Four villain that came in the same wave, Psycho Man. And that's another great figure. I'm going to have to review that figure at some point soon, so that's another great figure. But yeah, again, the two look really good together. And yeah, that's it. And as I said, this is a fantastic figure, no pun intended. It's a damn near perfect representation of one of my favourite characters, done at an affordable price, easy to get. He's no longer a Walgreens exclusive. Pretty much every store is stocking him. You have no reason not to get him. He has everything you could possibly want from a Thing figure. I can't think of anything else I'd want to have with him. No, nothing off the top of my head. If you're only going to get one figure from this wave, which I could possibly understand, I mean that Invisible Woman's got a hell of a face sculpt, and the Reed Richards figure is interesting, but not very fantastic, not very Mr. Fantastic-y. But if you're just going to get the one, I highly recommend getting the Thing. It is just amazing. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like down below and leave a comment. And if you've not already, please subscribe to the channel for more mediocre content at best. And until next time, folks, I want you all to stay safe, stay sane, and keep on rolling. And I'll see you all next time. Ta-da!